Hello and welcome to the first installment of what is going to be called Operation 700. Now I think we'll start this, so there's going to be a vlog series to go alongside what is going to be both a log series, so I'm going to keep a couple of logs, one on suggedbarbell.co.uk and the other one on bodybuilding.com misc, which I'll link to the logs in the description of this YouTube video that you're watching right now. So now, so you know where I'm coming from with this log series or with this video series is if anyone's been following me for a while, or anyone knows who I am, or anyone that kind of knows of my work or knows of my lifting, you will know that I'm a pretty good bench presser. My squat is okay, and I've managed to push it up with time, but my deadlift's been historically pretty shit. So this kind of came to, not that this came to a head, but that's Innis and Gunn beer, which is fucking amazing, by the way, if you've never tried it before. Also, I'm wearing tap out, so better watch out your comments, bro. Right, like that was getting weird. Yeah, so my deadlift shit, basically. My best deadlift today is 293 kilos, which was done at a body weight of 112, I think it was at the time, or 114. At the competition at the weekend was my first meet in 2 years and about 4 months, and I failed at 290. Now the conditions in which I failed at 290 weren't ideal, but basically I've moved up a weight class, so I was a 105 kilo class. So if you're American, that's 230 pounds, and I've moved up to the 120s, so that's like 265, I think, class. So I moved up a weight class, 114, so I'm around 250 pounds in body weight. And I put 30 kilos on my squat, which is to probably be expected with the amount of fat that I'm carrying around my midsection. I put 7.5 kilos on my meat bench press, which is quite decent. 200 kilo bench press has been a little target of mine for a while that I've had, and I'm quite happy that I've managed to put it to bed. And then what I wanted to do is I just wanted to set it, well, ideally I wanted to set an all-time PB in the deadlift, so a 295 or a 300 was the goal, and I've been very happy with either of those lifts. In the circumstances that I lifted in, I pulled a 280, which was pretty easy. Back in the warm-up room where the bars were really thick, the plates were quite small, so it was basically pulling an axle from a deficit, the way it worked out. I pulled a 260, and it absolutely flew up. Like, it was real easy. Now, people were saying all day that the barbell on the platform felt a lot heavier. That's probably because the weights on the platform were calibrated, and the weights in the warm-up room were shitty weights, shitty bodybuilding weights that probably were quite far off. I have a friend who trained there for a while in the gym which held the meet, and he said that some of the 20s were like 18 kilos and some of the 25 kilos were like 23. So it's probably in the region like 252, 255 I pulled. That's why I felt really easy. But anyway, so I hit the platform, pulled the 280, which was fine. It felt like I didn't have a hell of a lot more in me. So when I pulled the 260, I thought, right, shit, we're on here. 300's going to go. And my prep leading up to it had been real good, and I thought I was definitely good for a 295. When I pulled the 293, I was definitely good for 300 on that day. I still haven't pulled 293. I just pulled 293 because I wanted to get a nice little PB in the bag, or a PR if you're American, and prepare myself for the meet, so I wasn't training deadlift that heavy week in, week out. Anyway, it came to the business end, second attempt. We only got 2 attempts, but we'll forget about why that was. On my second attempt, I pulled 290. I got up to my upper thigh, and it just wasn't there. Like, I hitched at the lockout. It was a bit shy of lockout, and of course got 3 reds because I was hitching, which is to be expected, to be honest. I knew as soon as I kind of hitched it a little bit up my thigh, or ramped it up my thigh a little bit, I knew it was gone. It was the gig was up. So really, really fucked me off. Like, it ruined my meet. 280 squat was great. I was so happy after that. The bench press was fine. Like, I should be a lot more happy with the 200 than I am, but I was happy with it. I wasn't dissatisfied with the 200, and then the missing the 290 just like really, really shat my ointment, or as a fly in my ointment, or it was a big old shit in my porridge oats. So Operation 700 is basically, I'm going to keep regular vlogs, so I'm thinking once a week, maybe a little bit more regularly. I have done vlogs before. I'm trying a new software at the minute, cheap ass software that I got free offline, or free online. I got a maximum of 15 minutes, but I think it'd be good because can have a tendency of overrunning, so I think 15 minutes is quite good. So today's video, I'm just going to run through the first block of the program. I've been sitting here, you've been staring at it for a little while. I'm going to talk through it, what the initial plan is, and if I have to modify it, which no doubt I will do, then I'll take you through those modifications on a week-to-week basis. So I'm going to be keeping a log on bodybuilding.com, keeping a log on suggandbarbell.co.uk. Alongside of that, I'll write a blog a week, maybe 2 blogs a week, and I'll keep a vlog a week. And I'll be regularly updating my Instagram with my various training. So, here you'll see up here we got the goals. So goal weight's 320 kilos, which is 704 pounds. Hence Operation 700. Milestone 1 is 302.5 kilos, 10 kilos on my current. So I'd like to achieve that ideally within block 1. Which I thought I was, like, as I mentioned in the kind of preamble, I thought I was pretty close to being in good enough shape to pull 300 fairly recently. So I think just getting up to that sort of fitness again, I'll pull that fairly easily. Milestone 2 is 312.5 kilos. Or I think that's in the region of like 685, and then the final milestone is 320, which is obviously 704 pounds, which is the goal of the program. So week 1, it has been completed. I've only did 1 session because I was so stiff and sore from the meet. I could only really do 1. I was planning on doing 2 sessions of 4x5 at 180 kilos or 400 pounds. But I just performed 1 workout this week. Well, so I did 5 sets of 5. So the intended volume for the week was 45 lifts. But obviously with 5x5, I'm at 25 lifts. But it's such low intensity at that first week. It's kind of like I put it at such a low intensity because it's kind of an intro week. I've just come off the back of a meet. I'm stiff and sore. So that kind of volume load will be not skipped, but I've done the 5x5 on it. So I realistically probably should have done 2 sessions, but we're gonna skip go here. Hopefully I'm not making a retraction video saying how I should have done that first week and I fucked the entire pooch on the first day. Hopefully that's not the case. Week 2, which is the week we're going to be going into. So I probably should have started with the general frame of the program. So it's a 6-week block, looking at a frequency of 3 days. We're looking at a moderate day, day 1, a light day, day 2, and then a heavy day on day 3. So week 2 is what we're going to be moving into. We're looking at session 1, 4 sets of 3, lifting at 70%, which will be 211 kilos. This is based off the target of 302.5. I know a lot of trainers will say that you should never base a program off a result you haven't done before, which is probably bang on. But I think I'm around about the ballpark, and we'll change the kind of way we do programs as this goes on, because this kind of program is not going to work up to 320. It will hopefully, hopefully it's going to work for 302, and I'm trying to put that to bed. So session 1 is like a moderate session of week 2. We're hitting 70%. We're doing 4 triples of that. Should be pretty easy. For this training block as well, I'm always going to deadlift first in the workout. When I do, normally I would squat and bench press before deadlift. But obviously, the goal, the entire auspice of this Operation 300 is to Operation 700 is to deadlift 700 pounds. So deadlift's always going to be coming first. Week 2, or sorry, session 2 of week 2, which we'll be going into, is 4 sets of 3 at 60%. So that's the same intensity that the volume week was done at, or the volume session was done at, which meant to be the volume week, but we already talked around why we're not doing that. And then the third session, of week 2, again at 70%, 4 sets of 3. And then you'll see as we go forward, week 3, we're going to 75% and 80%. With this green session will always remain at 60%. and possibly might pull the plug on it depending on how my back feels as we go on. Session 1 is going to, I think, is going to stay at 75%. So once it reaches that, it's going to stay there for the rest of the program, and then it will remain at 4 sets of 3 for the rest of the program. So these front 2 programs, once we've kind of accumulated this amount of volume, or we've accumulated this amount of work, these are going to remain the same. These are going to be like our skill work, if you will, and the overload is going to come from week 3. Although these will accumulate fatigue throughout the week, which will help in producing that overload that's going to make us stronger. And by the end of the block, we should be hitting the triple at 290, 287, 290. I might just take a run at the 1RM on workout 3 of week 6. What you'll see here is the volume chart. So you'll see that's volume load. So volume load is number of reps. So you see here volume, average intensity, and volume load. Volume is the load times the reps. So that's the actual volume load that I'll be lifting for deadlift for that week. And you'll see here we have intensity. So intensity starts real low, 60%, and then as we go up, we're going to get up to an average intensity of about 232 kilos with like a peak intensity of 290, or possibly at goal weight, which will be 302 kilos. And you'll see our volume load starts real high and then just kind of plummets, takes a little spike and then plummets again. So this kind of 2 week blocks the kind of where the main bit of volume is going to be. Intensity is going to be real low. Kind of crossovers week 2, 3, and then with intensification happens week 3. So if you look at this as like as a typical program, volume accumulation happens here, intensification happens here, and peak happens here, and that's how we're going to get stronger. We're going to watch some lifting now, and then I'm going to let you go on your way. So this is today's workout. This is set 2 of deadlift. I will be training with straps for the entirety of the program, so powerlifters, please go. It's basically to save my hands. And my grip's fine. I've held 400 kilos before. I've just deadlifted a measly 293. So you'll see, I've been spending a lot of time on my deadlift, so I think my form is reasonably dialed in. It's not perfect by any means. I mean, probably could work on getting tighter in these weights, but like 60% is so light. What I am trying to do, if you watch me, I'm trying to work on my deadlift, get my glutes into the movement, kind of, rather than leaning back, just kind of locking my glutes and pushing my hips forward. I'm trying to make it as efficient as possible from the floor as well. Try not to get a massive amount of leg drive into the bar. Just getting set, trying to get set in the exact same position every time. Get it moving off the floor with my quads, and then from there just kind of lock it out with my glutes. So it's kind of hard. Like, this is way too light to really tell how my form is. We'll kind of find out as the block goes on how the form's going. I'm hoping with the amount of sets and reps and the fact that I'm doing it first in the workout is really going to mean that it's going to really push things forward. And then this is towards the back end of the training block. So I did 4 sets on cambered bar, box squat. This is actually a really nice movement. You can really feel this through my core quite a lot. Something I'm definitely going to bring into my actual training block. I normally just train with straight bars, and one of the things I set at the start of this year was that every month that I would do something to push myself out of my comfort zone. So I'm training with non-straight bars for the rest of the next 4 weeks. So you'll be seeing a lot of this shit going forward. That was 170 for a set of 6. Worked up for a set of 12, set of 10, set of 8, set of 6. This is a top set. I thought this was actually really worthwhile and something I will be kind of pursuing going forward. That's a really good core movement. As in, really good bloof movement, or kite movement, as they say in Scotland. Yeah, so the recorder's shut out, so this is take 2. See, they're flopping down there like the fat piece of shit that I am, wandering around what day it is. That was quite a tough set, considering that was only 170 kilos. So as I mentioned beforehand, not using any straight bars for the next 4 weeks, apart from deadlift. So on the football bar, or the shoulder snap bar, as it's also known. Ironically, I seem to have a shoulder structure or an anatomy that means a straight bar is perfect for me, while the natural neutral grip, which everyone else finds great, I find absolutely fucking terrible. My shoulder's pretty sore at the minute. And that was really difficult. It was so hard to balance it and just like move it in general. And I think it could be quite a beneficial movement for my bench press as long as my shoulder stays in one piece. So before you before that, I did 4 sets of 5 on the pull up, which of course I did in video because no one really wants to see a fat fucker having an epilepsy fit in a pull up bar. And I did a 4 sets on the dumbbell shoulder press, which was about fucking 2 kilos. So you don't want to hear about that. So yeah, that's pretty much. Why is it so dark? What's that about? That's pretty much concludes this episode. This beer, by the way, if you've never had it before, is like God's nectar. It is the best thing ever. Made in Edinburgh, Scotland. God's country has its own. That will conclude episode 1 of Operation 700. We have an away game next week, so I'll be somewhere in the wonderful world of Wales, which is I'm sure it's a beautiful place. Although I don't really think it is. So I'll try to record one on Saturday, basically. So the next video should be Saturday. The next vlog, sorry, not video. Video, that's so 1990s or 2000s. Vlog, because we're in 2016 here. Next vlog will hopefully be up in 2 days? Fuck's sake. In 8 days' time. And I'll be doing week 2 of the program, which you've seen laid out before you in that beautiful spreadsheet. Hope you've enjoyed it. Comments, please leave them below. Subscribe, please. I would like more than 3 people on my YouTube. That'd be awesome. Feel free to share it with people that you want to show some ugly fat person lifting weights. That's great. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you want to send me an email for whatever reason to talk about the series, talk about the program, get involved in some way, please send your email to speedpowerperformance@gmail.com. Like and subscribe. And I will check you out next week. Thanks very much for watching. I have been and will continue to be Mark. Thank you very much for listening.